Welcome to this edition of Head to Head. I'm your host, Cam McKinney, and this is episode number 302 of the podcast. And on this episode, I'm talking about outfielder Mookie Betts switching positions to play shortstop. Since he made it to the majors, Mookie Betts has been one of baseball's biggest stars. The 31-year-old in 10 seasons has 252 career home runs to go along with a .294 career batting average. He's a 7-time All-Star and an AL MVP and has won a batting title. He's also a 2-time World Series champion in 2018 and 2020 and is a 6-time Silver Slugger Award winner. One of the most underrated aspects of the star's career has been his defense. Betts is a 6-time Gold Glove Award winner. He's one of the best defensive outfielders I've ever seen, and his manager, Dave Roberts, this week has announced that Betts will be the Dodgers' primary shortstop. He was originally going to move to second base, but the lackluster defense from Gavin Lux changed the Dodgers' plans. One of the biggest reasons why Mookie Betts is an underrated defensive outfielder is because he's played with some excellent outfielders who are all-time good on defense. I'm primarily thinking about Jackie Bradley Jr. Jackie Bradley Jr., when they were both on the Red Sox, was the one getting all of the praise for his defense. Everyone in Boston thought Jackie Bradley Jr. was the best defensive outfielder they've ever seen, so they kind of overlooked Mookie Betts. In my time watching baseball, that's one of the best defensive outfields I've ever seen. That included Jackie Bradley Jr., Mookie Betts, and Andrew Benintendi, and we all thought we were going to see that outfield play together for the next 10 seasons. Even last year with the Dodgers, Mookie Betts was playing with Jason Hayward, one of the best defensive outfielders in all of baseball. And let's be honest, for the most part, baseball makes stars out of their offense. Barry Bonds became a big star when he started to hit home runs at a record pace. That's what makes great baseball players, is their offense. We all know about the offense. Alex Rodriguez was one of baseball's stars because of his offense. There are very few players in the history of baseball who are stars primarily for their defensive play. I mean, just to name a few, I would say Ozzie Smith, of course. You also have Brooks Robinson. Those guys are thought of as all-time defenders, and that's the reason that they're Hall of Fame players. But everyone else basically are superstars because of what they do offensively. I also think you can become a star catcher because of what you do on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, you've had big stars like Johnny Bench, you had Pudge Rodriguez, you had Yadier Molina. They became stars because of what they were doing behind the plate. My point is, Mookie Betts is almost as special defensively as he is offensively. Now, last season, Mookie had one of the best years of his career, hitting a career-high 39 home runs, 107 RBIs, and a .408 on-base percentage, and he hit .307. He ended up finishing second in the MVP chase to Ronald Acuna Jr., and I'm one of the very few people who believe he should have won the award. No one thought the Dodgers were going to be as good as they were last year. They lost Trey and Justin Turner, yet they still won the division in over 100 games, and I believe Mookie Betts was the biggest reason why. Clayton Kershaw's not the same guy. Freddie Freeman had a great year, but to quote the great Reggie Jackson, Mookie Betts is the straw who stirs the drink. My point on Ronald Acuna Jr. is this. Yes, he had an all-time great season, but look at the players around him on the Atlanta Braves. Matt Olson hit 52 home runs. They also have Austin Matthews. They also have Ozzie Albies. That lineup is stacked in a way that the Dodgers last season were not. Now, this Dodgers team, they now have Shohei Ohtani. They now have Teoscar Hernandez. They're going to be a far better offensive team, but that was not the case for last year's Dodgers team. The last year's Dodgers team had Max Muncy. Now, I like Max Muncy. He's a decent power hitter, but he's not Matt Olson. I mean, I just don't understand how you could argue Ronald Acuna Jr. was the most valuable player. I believe Mookie Betts Betts' value is higher to the Dodgers than Acuna Jr.'s is to the Atlanta Braves. That was my point. Now I'll move on. In the history of baseball, there aren't that many famous examples of stars who switch positions. So here are other notable stars who switch positions. Well, there aren't many. You have Hall of Famer Craig Biggio, who switched from catcher to second base. A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez, who moved from shortstop to third base so he could play with Derek Jeter and the Yankees. And the most famous example, Brewers player Robin Yount. Now, Robin Yount won an MVP at shortstop in 1982 and again in 1989, this time as a center fielder. This is what interests me the most about Mookie Betts switching positions, is that he has a chance, a legitimate chance, to be an MVP at two different positions. He already won an MVP as an outfielder. I believe if Mookie Betts has the same offensive season that he had last year, but this time he's playing shortstop and he's playing it at a decent level, he will win NL MVP. That's what I love about this storyline. I want to see it happen for Mookie Betts. One of the biggest reasons I want to see this work out for Mookie Betts is because I love the fact that he's willing to move positions. He seems like such an easygoing player to have on your team. He's willing to do whatever it takes for the Dodgers to be successful. He'll play outfield, he'll play second base, he'll play shortstop. He's just going to play baseball, and he's going to do it at the highest level. Now, as a Red Sox fan, this makes me even more upset that they moved on from this guy and didn't give him the contract he deserved. I don't care if Mookie Betts wanted out of Boston. The Red Sox should have done more to keep him. They should have given him the $400 million deal he got with the Dodgers and maybe more, because this is the guy you should have banked on. This guy should be the face of your franchise. Right now, the problem with the Red Sox is they don't have a face of the franchise. Rafael Devers is a very good player. I'm not sure he's great yet, and I'm not sure if he's ever going to be great. Offensively, maybe you can make that argument about Devers, but he's not a good defensive player. That's what's so special about Mookie Betts, is he's been so good at both levels, offensively and defensively, and I'm really interested to see if he can become a really good shortstop for the LA Dodgers. The Dodgers, as you know, have been the most talked about team in the sport due to their exorbitant amount of spending this offseason. They brought in Ohtani, Glasnow, and Yamamoto. But for me, Mookie Betts switching positions is the most interesting thing about that team right now. Mookie Betts is already viewed as one of the best athletes in the sport, and even if he just becomes an adequate defender at the position, it's a huge success. Right now, as you can tell, I'm being really positive about this situation. I love Mookie Betts playing shortstop for the Dodgers, but you can view this as a failure on the Dodgers' part because they let two-star shortstops walk out the door. They didn't re-sign Trey Turner, and they didn't re-sign Corey Seager. I mean, Corey Seager just won World Series MVP for the Texas Rangers. I believe Corey Seager should still be on the LA Dodgers. And as for Trey Turner, he was far better with the Dodgers than he was with the Phillies. He should probably still be on the Dodgers right now. So they let two-star shortstops walk out the door, and now they need their best defensive outfielder to play shortstop. It's not ideal, but if anyone can pull this off, I believe it will be Mookie Betts. He's that special. As I previously mentioned, I am a fan of the Boston Red Sox, and it's wild that Mookie Betts is becoming a shortstop at the exact moment that longtime shortstop Xander Bogaerts is switching to second base. Yes, Xander Bogaerts was with the Red Sox for a long period of time. He was their shortstop. Everyone always questioned his defense, but Bogaerts was one of the best offensive shortstops in all of baseball. Then he signs with San Diego, gets this massive contract from the team. He's going to be there for the next decade, and in year 2, they are moving him to second base. And these are the kind of things that makes me wonder what would have happened if these two star players stayed with the Red Sox. Now, the Red Sox picked Trevor Story over Xander Bogaerts. I believe that was a massive mistake. But if Mookie Betts was still on the Red Sox, there's no way he would be playing shortstop for them. Both of their careers have gone down an interesting path. Now, for the Dodgers and Mookie Betts, it really has worked out. He's still one of baseball's biggest stars, Stars, and they believe in him enough to have him play shortstop. I'm just curious what's going to happen down the line with San Diego and Xander Bogaerts. I kind of feel bad for Xander Bogaerts. I believe he picked San Diego thinking that he would be a shortstop for a long-term period, and now in year 2, they're having him switch positions. And the reason for that is for a long time, Xander Bogaerts was viewed as a liability on the defensive side of the ball, and that same kind of thing could happen to Mookie Betts because nobody gets criticized in baseball more than shortstops who kind of struggle defensively. Yes, people worship the likes of Ozzie Smith. He's the wizard. But if fans of the sport believe you are not good defensively at the position, they will vocalize it. Think about Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter is one of the best players in the history of the sport. He's Mr. November. He won 5 gold gloves at the position, and I understand that stars were getting gold gloves, but a lot of people view Derek Jeter as a bad defensive player at the position. I don't believe he was the best defensive shortstop of all time, but he was far more than adequate enough to be the everyday shortstop for the New York Yankees. And it's my belief that people feel so strongly about this position defensively because it is important. If you have a bad defender at that position, it can cost you ball games. I mean, last season, the Red Sox were laughable because they were playing Kike Hernandez as their everyday starting shortstop. That was one of the reasons they were a last place team, because they did not have good defense from their shortstop. Now, hopefully that's going to go away for the Red Sox because now they have Trevor Story, but with the Dodgers, they now have a huge question mark. I believe Mookie Betts will be a good shortstop, but I have not yet seen that. I need to see it to believe it, and that's how most Dodger fans are going to feel about this. There's going to be some growing pains for Mookie Betts at the position. There are going to be some unforced errors. He's not going to be great right away, but if he plays 100 games at that position and proves he can be an everyday shortstop, it will be one of the most impressive feats I've seen in a while in that sport. And the other thing I find so fascinating about this situation is it's happening on a team that has skyrocket expectations. Again, they brought in Shohei Ohtani. They have Freddie Freeman. They have Teoscar Hernandez. They're going to score a lot of runs. But if Mookie Betts is not good at that position and makes crucial mistakes, it could cost the Dodgers everything. I mean, there is a huge risk here having your star player out there like that. I mean, you're making him the scapegoat in a way. If it doesn't work out, if he's not good defensively at the position, he looks bad and you look bad as well. And you don't want to put your star player in that position. That's why I feel so strongly that this is going to work out, because Dave Roberts would not make this move if he didn't have faith in Mookie Betts playing the position. Now, I get it. Gavin Lux is having a hard time. It's similar to what happened to Chuck Knobloch. Chuck Knobloch was once an adequate defender, and then he got the yips with the Yankees and was no longer good playing second base. The same thing appears to be happening with Gavin Lux and throwing the baseball. I just can't believe the Dodgers would put Mookie Betts, of all people, in this position if they didn't know it was going to work out. Dave Roberts must see him every day practicing and seeing something special when it comes to Mookie Betts playing shortstop. Now, I don't know if he's going to end the season as their everyday starting shortstop. That's what I'm rooting for here. I want Mookie Betts to win an MVP at his second position, but would I be shocked if the Dodgers made a move for another infielder? I mean, there's already rumors out there that they're trying to trade for Brewers infielder Willy Adames. Now, Willy Adames is a really good offensive player. He's not a great defensive shortstop, but he's played the position really well. Now, that's somebody you would want to bring in, but why would you even put Mookie Betts in the position to say he's going to play shortstop just to bring in another infielder? The Dodgers have to commit to Mookie Betts because they've already vocalized it. Mookie Betts has to be given a chance to be their everyday starting shortstop. It's fair to say that this is now a question mark on the Dodgers if Mookie Betts can play the position, but it's not even the biggest question mark on the team. To me, the biggest question mark on the team is their starting pitching. Yes, they have Tyler Glass now, but he's never thrown even 150 50 innings in a season. They need that guy to be an ace pitcher. Walker Buehler is coming back off of Tommy John. Walker Buehler is one of my favorite starting pitchers, but he has not been healthy, so they need him to regain form. Now, he's going into a free agent year. I believe he's going to be very good, but there are real question marks when it comes to the Dodgers pitching staff because they are relying on guys who have had injury issues. The idea of bringing in a guy like James Paxton sounds like a good idea, but he will not remain healthy for a full season. And Clayton Kershaw, he has an injury. He's signed with the team. I don't know when he's going to pitch, but we all know that Clayton Kershaw has had his issues when it comes to postseason time. And Yamamoto, we all believe in him. People are saying how good he's been. I don't know if he's the real deal. And Shohei Ohtani is only going to be an offensive player this year. He's going to be their DH. He's not going to pitch at all for the Dodgers. As big of a Goliath as the Dodgers are, there are some real weaknesses on this roster. And Mookie Betts playing shortstop is not one of them in my eyes. I'm really impressed that Mookie Betts is willing to do this, and I want to see him do it well. I am rooting for Mookie Betts to be a top 5 to 10 shortstop in baseball next season. He's going to be the best offensive one. There's no doubt in my mind. I just want to see how he adjusts defensively. Again, I just want to reiterate how rare this is to happen, that a 31-year-old MVP makes a position change in baseball. This doesn't happen all of the time. It's a rarity, and it's going to be really interesting to see if he can pull it off. I mean, normally what happens is what's happening with Xander Bogaerts. As you get older, you play a less difficult position. He's moving to second base. You're seeing it with Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper is no longer playing outfield for the Philadelphia Phillies. He's moving to first base so that he doesn't get injured. This is Mookie Betts switching to a position that's even harder than the one he's been playing. The Dodgers and Dave Roberts have really opened themselves for criticism when it comes to this decision to have their best player move to shortstop at this point in his career. If you are doubting Mookie Betts, you should not. I remember all the doubts about Mookie Betts. They said he would never be a consistent power hitter. He has been that and more. I'll say this, if he does this and does what I'm saying and what I'm predicting, that he wins an MVP at a second position, I believe that makes Mookie Betts the best player in baseball. That puts him ahead of Mike Trout in my eyes. That puts him ahead of his teammate Shohei Ohtani. That puts him ahead of Ronald Acuna Jr. If this guy can win an MVP at shortstop at 31 years old after winning an MVP as an outfielder in 2018, that automatically makes him the best player in the game. Now, that's a lot to ask for, but again, I will repeat myself. If he has the same exact offensive numbers that he had last season with the Dodgers, he will be an MVP candidate. And if he's playing well enough defense at shortstop for the Dodgers, he will be a unanimous MVP. I don't care if Ronald Acuna Jr. hits 40 homers and steals 100 bases. Mookie Betts switching positions at 31 years old and doing it well would be the most impressive feat next season in the sport of baseball. Here's the list of players who have won MVPs at multiple positions. Stan Musial of the Cardinals, Robin Yount of the Brewers, A-Rod with the Rangers and Yankees. That's 2 Hall of Famers and a guy who would be a Hall of Famer if it weren't for steroid allegations. Mookie Betts is well on his way to being a Hall of Famer, but I believe if he accomplishes this, he would be considered even more of an all-time great. I mean, this is something that just doesn't happen, and I really do hope it happens. And again, I am predicting it happens. My early prediction of baseball this season is that Mookie Betts is going to win a second MVP award, this time at a different position, shortstop. And yes, I'm rooting for that to happen. I'm also rooting for him to have a great postseason because that's something that he's kind of struggled with. I mean, last last year, he was kind of non-existent in the postseason. If the Dodgers are going to win the World Series, I don't care if they have Shohei Ohtani, I don't care if Yamamoto pitches like an ace. What they need is for Mookie Betts to be their best player during October. I mean, that is something that is missing from Mookie Betts' resume, is that great October run. I mean, him winning a World Series MVP, and let's say he wins the MVP next season, and then he wins the World Series MVP. That would cement his overall legacy. I'll end on this. There is a lot of pressure on Mookie Betts right now to be their everyday shortstop, and I think he's going to pull it off. Thanks for listening to this edition of Head to Head. I'm Cam McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every Monday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, so please rate, review, and subscribe.